Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Downriver Rescue Connection. I'm your host, PATTI-RADAKOVICH, and it is my privilege to bring you information on animal-related topics in the animal rescue community. On today's episode, our guest is Julie Sly. She is a board member of Metro Area Animal Adoption Association. So welcome to the show, Julie.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about our friends here today in just a minute, but why don't you tell us a little bit about Metro and how long have you been a board member with Metro?
Well, Metro Area Animal Adoption Association is a foster-based rescue group. I have been with the rescue group for about 7.5 years now. I got involved when I adopted my first dog, Roxy, here, and just was taking her up to meet, let them see her as she grew as a puppy, and kind of got pulled in with what they were doing. And within, I would say, 3 months, I was fostering along with my own puppy.
Great, so that happens to a lot of us in rescue.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, you said it's a foster-based rescue. So what exactly does that mean?
Foster-based means we do not have a shelter. Any animals that we are able to pull from kill shelters or owner surrenders, we have to have a family for them to go to, a home for them to go to. So we can only save as many animals as we have foster homes for. Right now we do have a low amount of foster homes. When you're fostering a pet with Metro, we ask that, the biggest thing that we ask is that you love them like your own pet until they find their forever homes. Trying to think.
Well, let's say, so if somebody decides that they want to foster, what's involved with fostering, first of all?
What's involved with fostering? Well, when we take a pet in, first of all, when we're asking you to foster, we're also going to make sure that your pets are up to date on shots, and that you have, if you're fostering a dog, that you have a fenced yard, because we want your pets to be safe also.
Right.
When you do say that you want to foster, we ask that you make the commitment to foster that pet until it does find its forever home. Metro does supply, if you need a crate, we supply crates. We supply the food for the pets. You're not required to do any of the vet work. We pay for all the vet work. We may ask you to take them to the vet when they're scheduled for their spay or neuter, or if they do get sick, but you're not required to pay for any of that stuff.
Well, I know there's some common misconceptions that people have about fostering, which is why they always say, I can't foster. So I know one of them is that, well, I can't foster because I can't afford to pay for the bills. And like you said, if something, Metro does pay for the vet care for these animals, as most rescue groups that are foster-based. And with the food is another thing that you guys pay for. People are worried about that. Well, if I foster the animals, then I'm going to be out money for food, and that's something that they don't have to worry about with you guys, because you'll supply that as well.
And a lot of times we'll also supply, if we've been donated toys or rawhides and stuff like that, we will, if we have extra, surplus, we will give you toys and stuff like that for the pets also. Obviously, we supply the leashes and the collars. You're not required to do any of that either. That's included.
Yeah, so I know, like, that's one of the biggest reasons that people say they don't want to foster, is because they're afraid of the expense. And that's one of the things we're here to tell you, is that the expense is not your burden. The rescue group is the one that will pick up the expenses in order for you to help foster that animal. Because again, they do not have a shelter. Any foster-based rescues that don't have shelters, this is how we operate. You need to find foster homes where the animals can go, so that you can have these animals available for adoption. So the expenses are at the are the responsibility of the rescue group. Now, another reason that people say that they don't want to or foster, or they can't foster, is, oh, I'm going to fall in love with the animal and I'll never be able to give it up. So what do you say to those people?
We've all been foster failures. That's what we call the people that fall in love with their pets. Lenny is one of my many foster failures. If you fall in love with that pet, that's okay. It's okay to fall in love with that pet. You have first option to adopt that pet. If you decide you do have to do the adoption fee, but you do have first option of that because we wouldn't allow you to foster if we wouldn't allow you to adopt.
Right, and that's something that, you know, as a rescue group, you know, with our rescue group, we actually count on a certain number of our fosters ending up being foster failures because that's just part of the rescue game. It's perfectly acceptable. We don't want people to feel bad as, oh, I can't give this animal up. You know, I can't rescue because I know I can't give it up. That's okay. Maybe that's the way you try the animal out to see if it's the right fit for your family.
I was just about to say that, Patty. A lot of families will foster because they want to see if it's a good fit in their family, and it's a perfect way to find out. If you have another dog and you want to get another one, but you're not sure it's going to work, if you foster, you can find out if it's a perfect fit or not then before you adopt it. So that's kind of nice also,
right,
to be able to see if it is a good fit.
And just because you're a foster failure once does not mean that you'll end up being a foster failure again, and it doesn't prevent you from fostering in the future. So, you know, a lot of times what will happen with people is they foster a dog and they decide that a dog is the right fit for their family, but just not that dog. So they end up adopting that dog out, and maybe the next dog that they foster is the one that they keep. Or they find that they, you know, adopt the first dog and then they have room that they can get a second one. And that's how, you know, it works, is they foster that one. One of the things I know in our group, we have a lady who really loves kittens. And that's a wonderful way for her to always have kittens in her house, is to be a kitten foster. So if somebody wanted to be like a, you know, so I know with your group too, if somebody wanted to say, hey, I'll take these types of animals, you'll work with them, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Whenever someone wants to foster, what we usually do is we say, is there any certain age group that you want to foster? You know, some people only want to foster puppies, some people only want to foster kittens, some only want to do the adults, some only want to do seniors. You know, they can say, you know, if you live in a city that doesn't allow pit bulls, you can say, I won't do pit bulls, or I won't do a large breed, I'll only do a small breed. You know, and we can work with that, you know, because we are a lot of times pulling from pounds. And so we can look on the websites at the kill shelters and see what they have and specifically pull a foster for you for that purpose. We also have fosters that they want a second dog, but they can't afford it. So they just continue to foster. So they have a playmate for their other dog all the time. You know, it's always a different one, but there's always one there, but they don't have that additional expense of food and vet bills. So their other pet has a playmate all the time.
Yeah.
So that works out nice for some people also.
Yeah, and that's really great. And for people listening to that and thinking, oh, well, aren't they taking advantage? No, they're not. They're actually saving a life. They're saving multiple lives.
Absolutely.
And that's the important thing to remember, is that when you're fostering, you are saving an animal's life. If there were no foster homes for animals, rescue groups like Metro and rescue groups like Basil's Buddies wouldn't exist, because we don't have the shelter to put the animals in.
Right.
And we have to have the foster homes.
Right. You know, myself, I know I'm at my limit for my own personal pets. I can't afford to, you know, to have any more of my own, but I still foster. You know, so I have my 2 big dogs and I have 2 of my own cats, but I do still foster kittens, mostly kittens for me, and then I am going to be starting, I was doing puppies, but now I'm going to start doing the adults.
Okay.
So
now, speaking of foster kittens, I believe you brought one with you today that's up for adoption. I did bring one of my
foster kittens.
I think it's this little one right here, so I'm going to let you take her out and introduce her.
Roxy.
Oops, sorry. Here, I'll get Roxy.
This is Garland. And as you can see, she has gotten used to being around dogs because I am a foster that has dogs. She is approximately 4 months old. Roxy.
Roxy wants to give everybody a
bath. Roxy loves kittens. Roxy absolutely loves her baby kittens. Garland is approximately 4 months old. She has an identical twin sister and 3 brothers also. But she is definitely looking for her forever home. As you can see, if you have dogs, she's fine with them.
And that's one of the other good things about fostering is you're exposing the animal to so much more, so that when an animal, and there's nothing wrong with shelter animals because it's great to adopt an animal from a shelter, but if you want to know what that animal's personality is like, if you want to know if they're how they interact with people and interact with other animals, then going to a rescue that does foster base, they already know that information because it's already been in a home. Now, if the foster home doesn't have children, they're not going to be able to tell you how the animal will do with kids, but you know, you can find a foster home that said, oh, this cat was already with dogs. I have a dog. I know the cat will be fine.
I know with our group, Patty, we do try to, even like myself, I don't have children at my house, but I do try to take the animals around kids to see how they are with them.
Right.
You know, and like with my kittens, I know myself when I'm fostering a kitten, I try to handle them like a small child would. So they're used to how a child would handle them, you know. They're used to being kind of manhandled and, you know, like a child would do, you know, so that it makes it easier for them to go into a home.
Right, and that's something that we all, as rescues, like we all do try to temperament test the animals. We have different, you know, things that we put them through different scenarios to try to make sure to see, okay, this one is, you know, is okay with kids, or this one's okay with dogs, even if it's not in that situation.
Right.
So, so this is Garland again?
This is Garland.
Yep.
And Garland is up to date on everything.
Now, if somebody was interested in adopting Garland or looking at Garland, where would they go and what would they do?
Well, they could go on our website. I don't know if her picture's up on the website right now. We've gotten a little bit behind on the website, keeping things up to date. But all you'd have to do is fill out the application, the CAT application, put her name on there, and submit the application. Great.
Now, you guys also take your animals to adoption events, and where do you usually do adoption events?
Adoption events we do at the PetSmart in Southfield, which is on 11 Mile and Telegraph Road, and we also do pet adoptions the first and third Saturday at Petco in Allen Park. And our adoption times are usually from 12 until 3.
Okay. So if somebody is looking to see what animals Metro has, you can go up during their adoption times at the various places. Now, as far as fostering is concerned, that's one of the things that people wonder about is as far as what is their commitment. Since you do have to take the animals up to the adoption events, what is the commitment as far as a foster home would be concerned to get the foster animal to an adoption event?
Well, we do ask, if at all possible, fosters are always welcome to come up to the events. If they want to see and meet the people that are going to adopt, they're always welcome to come up to the events and stay with their foster. We do have some foster homes that they don't want to be there. It's too hard on them to see them go to another home. But one of the biggest things that we ask is that you get them at least up to the event, and if they're not adopted, come back and pick them up. We have, if you don't live too far, we have made exceptions where if we can, we'll pick them up from your home if you make it readily available and easy for us, and bring them to the events and then take them home. Great. It just depends how many volunteers we have and how many pets there are. You know, I mean, if I have 10 foster homes and all 10 need me to pick them up, it's entirely impossible for me to do that.
Right.
I just can't fit that many crates in my car.
Right.
You know, but I mean, within reason, we can do it. But I mean, we've been pretty lucky where most can at least bring them up. You know, they don't have to stay, because we realize your time is precious. It's on the weekends. It's on Saturdays,
right,
and you have things to do. But if you can get them up there and then pick them up, that's awesome.
Great. So now that brings me to another point that a reason people give for not being able to foster is they say, well, if I foster, what happens if I want to go on vacation? What do I do with the animal? Am I going to have to pay to board it?
Yeah, that's a very good point, Patty. What we always tell our fosters, if you have a vacation planned, we understand. We try to make arrangements ahead of time where we'll work with another foster home that will take one in for a week. Or if we can't find another foster home, we will pay for the boarding if we have to. But usually it works out. And we do have a couple fosters that will only do it for vacations and stuff like that. You know, they're not a permanent type foster home, but they will fill in for us when we need somebody to do a vacation.
And that might be a good place for people to start. If they're not sure if they can foster, maybe they would want to start as, a temporary foster home.
Yeah.
So now you have one more cat that you brought today, and this cat's actually been on our show before. This is Madeline.
And Madeline, even though she's fostered at my home, she is not as good with the dogs. Roxy, you have to be nice to Madeline. But she is a love. Come here, sweetheart. Come here. Oh, oops.
There goes Roxy.
I know, you're not the happiest girl with them being all over you.
Come here, Roxy.
Okay.
Let me see if I can grab Roxy. You want to hand me her leash? We'll see if we'll get resituated here. Madeline may be going back in the carrier quite quickly because Roxy seems to like cats.
Roxy absolutely loves cats. She doesn't understand that not all cats love her. Madeline, she stays away from her and she does a good job. She is actually a long-haired calico, but we had to shave her down because she had a lot of really, really bad mats. She has really, really soft, fine hair.
Thank you.
And so the people that we had gotten her from originally just didn't keep her brushed real well. So, but Madeline is 6 years old. Normally she's really cuddly, but she's not real fond about the dogs being right here next to her.
Lenny, sit.
I don't know. Anybody that gets her is going to be very lucky. Very, very lucky.
Yeah, so she's still available. And, you know, obviously she would prefer a home without dogs. So if somebody does have, you know, a home that's looking for a really nice cat and is looking for, you know, doesn't have any dogs, this might be a good option for you.
She's with other cats. She doesn't play with them really or anything. Lenny.
Lenny, come here.
Lenny, come. Sit down. Lenny, sit.
This is what happens when you have animals in the studio.
Roxy.
So.
Roxy, come. Come here.
Come here, Roxy. All right, we got him.
Anyhow, she gets along with other cats, but she doesn't play with them, she doesn't cuddle with them, but she doesn't fight with them either. Huh.
Okay.
I know, you just don't like them,
Well, since she does not like the dogs, we'll put her back so that she doesn't get too stressed out.
And she's happy now.
Yeah, we don't want to stress out the cats.
You know, in the home, it's a lot easier because she can get away from them.
Right. Right.
You know, she can get away from them. She doesn't have to. Okay, Roxy.
Right. She's not confined to the small space in the studio. So
and Big Blonde Wonder kissing on her.
So is there anything else that you would like people to know about Metro? Is there anything that you guys do differently?
I mean,
Lenny, you're going to fall off.
There are other things that if you don't want to foster, there's other ways that you can volunteer with our group. We always need help on Saturdays, just with the adoption events. We have the cat habitats at the PetSmart in Southfield, and we also have the cat habitats at the Petco in Allen Park. And we need volunteers to help go up daily to clean and feed the pets. That's our responsibility to do that. It's not the pet store's responsibility. So we are always, especially the Petco in Allen Park, we really need some volunteers for up there right now.
Okay, great.
So.
Now, one other thing that I know we wanted to just talk about very briefly is because you know, the group is a foster-based group, as are most rescues. There are animals that we just don't take because they're going into a home. Now, what is the most common call you probably get for cats? People wanting to surrender a cat.
The most common call we get for people wanting to surrender cats is, "Hi, I have this 2-year-old cat, this 5-year-old cat, and he keeps peeing all over my house. Can you take it?" You know, we can't. We can't. You don't want the cat peeing all over your house. I'm taking it into my house. And I have many other fosters. It's just going to set that behavior with the other fosters. So we can't take a behavioral issue like that. We also can't take a feral cat in. They're not going to be adopted. You know, it's not possible. The funds just aren't there. Because as long as you have them, we have to pay for the food, we have to pay for their kitty litter, we have to pay for their vaccines if we have them there 2 years. You have to revaccinate them and all that type of thing, you know. And you can't up their adoption fee because you've had them that long, even though it far exceeds, you know, what you've paid into food and stuff far exceeds what their adoption fee is. You can't raise that.
Right.
So you have to have your limits. We don't take feline leukemia positive. Again, they're very, very hard to place. Our focus is to place as many adoptable pets as possible. And so we do have to be careful. You know, the same with our dogs. We can't take bite cases. We can't take aggressive dogs, you know, that go after everybody and everything. You know, they have to be able to go to adoption events and be seen. We're at the stores. There are other animals coming up, and there's, you know, and if they're barking their heads off and they're growling at everybody that walks by and every pet that walks by, they're going to get kicked out by the pet stores.
Right.
You know, so I mean, we have to be careful with things like that.
And hi, Lenny. And that's what we
He thinks
need.
he's a lap dog.
That's what we really want people to understand is, as far as the foster-based rescues are concerned, I know public sometimes gets angry with us because, you know, we can't take the animals that they want to give up. First of all, we can't take all of them. We just don't have the space because we are foster-based. Another issue is that they basically, you know, they think that we can take the animals with behavioral problems. If we do not have a person that's trained and willing to do that, we're just not able to take it because, again, we're taking the animals directly into our own homes. And
we're volunteers. We're not paid. We have to go to our own paid jobs, and we have to, you know, and so we have our own pets that we have to take care of too. And
exactly.
So you have to be careful.
Right, right. Well, I hope that you have learned a little bit something today about Metro and about the foster-based rescues and how those work. So, is there anything else that you'd like to tell our viewers?
I really hope you consider volunteering, whether it be fostering or helping with the cat habitats, volunteering at the adoption events. We really do, though, need foster homes right now. It saddens me when I go on these websites and look at the pounds and how many. I mean, there's puppies being euthanized and wonderful dogs and cats being euthanized just because we can't pull them because we don't have the foster homes to put them in temporarily.
Right.
You know, so please consider it. Even if you do one and you find that it's just not for you, try the one and see. The first one, I have to admit, is the hardest. It's the hardest when it goes out. But if you let them go, you can save another.
Yeah, and that's a great message, and that's what we need people to understand is if it wasn't for fosters, we really wouldn't be able to do rescue, and they are an extremely important part of rescue.
It's the major part of rescue.
So we are just about out of time, so I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and yeah, thanks for hogging the show here, Lenny. Thank you, Julie, for coming on and talking about Metro.
Us.
Yeah, so we all look forward to a day when all pets are treated like family and everyone has a home. Until that time, we invite you to be part of the solution. And remember, please spay and neuter your pets. See you next time.